Well, hello, rail friends. How's everybody again? Whoa, that was four pumpkins rolling past us in a hurry. Holy smokes, that was, woo, we barely, when I tell you guys we barely got here, I didn't even get to finish the whole description. That's how barely we got here for that train. It's been a while since I've been here. I had to get kind of caught up with remembering where the depot is. We are in Scottsboro, Alabama, where we just caught an amber. So, give me here a minute to get caught up here. Like I said, this is all rolling pretty quick. Where we have green indication to the west. And like I said, I don't know the track line real well here. Let's get you guys on first off. Okay, let's kick start one project at a time, y'all. All right. Hey, you guys. Okay, there you are. Hey, John. What do you know about Scottsboro Railroad Depot? That's where we are. We have a green over red signal quite a distance down there, about as far as I can see. We are on the Memphis West End track, and John, correct me if it's called different, but I believe we are on the Memphis West End. We are in just off the side of downtown Scottsboro, here on the trackside of the Scottsboro Railroad Depot. Ain't right? Thanks for joining us. John, thanks for joining us. And for all of those of you who may be signing on, we are live. This is not production. Your interaction literally happens as it happens right here. We are at the crossing. We're on the steps of the railroad depot. And whatever you see is generally 6 to 8 seconds after I see it. So, my first time to shoot here, first time to rail fan here, my first time to do anything here. So, anyone that knows history, now the good news is we got a great big old sign here to tell us about some of it. And Tate, who was with us just a little while ago, was telling us that there is a museum inside the depot. And I'll give you all a little tour of it here in a little bit. But we did have red over red. Looks like we are single track here. There's a siding this way that ends at the stone pile. Looks like there's an old siding here on the other side that diverges onto the track right here. Now, we're not here for a long time, but we are going to be here for a good time. And we are still making our way. We're not going to make it to Huntsville. It took so long to catch a train there in Stevenson before we got any train action to go live with you guys. So let's kind of take a look. Boy, this is what you call a 1955 step. That thing's way up there. And John, I'll be honest with you. Since we're standing here on the steps of the depot, and since it's so close to the tracks where you stand here at the depot, I was more interested in looking for something that might be come flying off there or what have you. Okay, and I was about to show you guys the amber, which is now, just as I was rolling over to it, switching to green. Now our last green just turned on as I rolled up, and that train was here relatively quick. Like I said, I don't know anything about our layout here. Memphis East End. Yeah, I guess that would be better than West End, wouldn't it, John? I'll get my directions right here. We are at the Memphis East End. I'm the one that's driving west and southwest. We started our day out, our first stop there with Tate in Stevenson, and we are just now, we are south of Stevenson, probably 12, maybe 15 miles. I'll grab a pad here real quick. Funny, we spent almost 3 hours in. I tell you what, since we've got a little bit of a moment or two, let's go ahead and move, you guys. It'll be a little bit more fun. First off, let's go ahead and do this. While we are running a little bit out of time and light. Hey, Mama Bear! We have made it to Scottsboro. And we're at the Scottsboro Railroad Depot. And here's a little history about this. I'm gonna move y'all a tad to the right. Y'all just sit tight there. Like, for those of you just joining us, this is a live production. I'm Mike, and I'm your host. Casey is hanging out studio side where he takes care of all of our technology things. And John and 8 Right are already on with us. John knows a tremendous amount of the history of this area. And like I said, this is my first time here to record or anything. So this is the Memphis and Charleston Railroad Company constructed the Scottsboro Railroad Depot in the years of 1860 and 1861 as a passenger and freight facility. The rail line ran throughout the Confederacy, and the Union considered its capture vital to cutting off supplies to the South. On January 8th of 1865, the depot was the site of an incredibly, I added that, intense battle between 101 1st U.S. Colored Infantry and the 110th U.S. colored infantry who held the depot. The Confederate soldiers, led by Brigadier General H.B. Lyon, the outnumbered Union soldiers defended the station until the Confederate artillery fire drove them from the building. In 1870, the newly incorporated Scottsboro designated the depot as the center point of town when laying out the city limits. With the completion of a new building in 1891, the depot stopped handling passenger traffic. The depot remained important in the economic and social activity of the city until the 1960s. The depot is one of only 3 remaining pre-Civil War railroad depots in the state of Alabama. That is pretty cool. One of only 3 remaining pre-Civil War railroad depots. Wow. And looking at it, it's the same thing on both sides. So I tell you what, for fun, and like I said, we're just kind of having a little fun here. And like I said, this is not production. This is live as it happens. Y'all put your seatbelts on. We're going to go across the crossing as if we were driving production 6. And give y'all a shot of where we are. So, this direction is looking towards Chattanooga, where about a 15-minute drive that way, you will be back to Scottsboro. Excuse me, not Scottsboro, back to Stevenson, my bad. So, about a 15-minute drive up Highway 72, like John had talked a little while ago. That will get you to Stevenson. And I'm going to guess about 265 miles that way will get you to Memphis. And we are at the 297.7 mile marker. 297.7. Or mile post, I should say. Memphis District. East End. As John said. So the 297.7 is where we are. On our travels at the moment. As you can see, we've kind of lost our sun. It was really nice and bright and warm and sunny. And John, it looks like they run the open segment and everyone, where the segments are open until you have train, because we have what was red over red when we first arrived has now gone to green over red. So That segment is available and open for train. They do the same thing on the line up to in Sweetwater and Knoxville West End. They do the same thing where it's green over red. That the segment is open and can have train traffic. So that's kind of what it is. Now this is the depot. The pre-Civil War one of only 3, as we just talked about. And it looks like it's in great condition. I understand it is open on Fridays. And then we'll take a look here at the door in a little bit. Hey, Mama Bear. You know exactly where I am, huh? Well, I'm right here on the crossing. You can see how old this is. Let's see if we can find a date on this track while we've got a moment. Yes, let's see. It's right here by the crossing. Let's see if I can zoom this in for you. Y'all hang on for a second. Let me zip you back out, and then we'll start over. Hopefully you'll be able to read this once we zoom in. Now, bear with me here a moment, you guys, as we try and do this. All right, there it is. This track was made in 1951 here in Tennessee. If you can see that. And there is 1951. So this track, 75, 76 years old, and it was made in, we have 4 hash marks. So April of 1951. Plenty of rust. Hasn't been much of anything on this anytime recent. But that steel, made in Tennessee. This rail, I should say. And sorry, you're on such magnification. If I just think about moving you, that's what you get. So, 1951, made in April. How cool is that, you guys? And you can see some of those ties are kind of weathered. There's the blue paint that we always talk about. All right, let's go ahead while we're taking our tour. Y'all put your seatbelt on. I'm going to give you a ride. Again, we're going to cross just like that GMC. Here on the crossing. And we're going to get a look at the depot from the other side. We're just like travelers today. All right, let me get you all leveled off there. Like I said, this is all live. No production. As we do this, you get to see this. Literally, if I fall down, in 8 seconds, you're going to laugh and then say, "Oh, Mike, are you okay?" Oh, got traffic coming. Just as I walk out there, he comes down makes the turn there. And then he makes another turn. Yeah, we got another car coming. Y'all sit tight here for a moment. And she gave y'all a big wave. Just make sure I'm in the picture right. Like I said, we are street side. Oh, here comes another car. We'll get this done. They were parked up there, but whoever they got is now in. All right, some more traffic coming, so y'all just sit tight. We'll manage to get this done. Like I said, we're not going to be here a long time, but we will be here for a good time. Fancy little corner. All right, we are on the entrance side of the Scottsboro depot, and the sign is they are open on Fridays from 10 to 2, it says. And we'll take a shot, like I said, since we've got a moment. We'll just kind of give you guys a shot all the way around while we're waiting to try and catch at least one more train. But there's the depot museum. and Scottsboro up there on the top where we just got a little sun that came out. Scanner's picking up something it does not like. Somebody has made it mad. But, oh, what a pretty shot. Look at that, the sun full bore on it. The old chimney. How cool. And let me give you a picture from the other side. Hello, Chuck. We're on tour today. Y'all put that seatbelt back on. We are at the corner of North Houston Street and Maple Avenue, where we are touring on our way to Birmingham. And here's a look from the other side. Sorry, like I said. Hello, Joe. And here is a look at the other side of the depot. Give you a shot. Here's a look at back at the crossing, where production 6 is sitting. There are no gates, surprisingly, you would think. As you saw, that train, that coal train rolled through here. And I had to hang on to the tripod so it didn't go anywhere. And over there is another placard, and it says on there that this was a Union Civil War encampment in Scottsboro. And I'll give you the short version rather than the whole thing, but basically late December of 1863, the Union forces established the 15th Army Corps headquarters here in Scottsboro. And they were ordered to guard the railroad and telegraph line from Scottsboro to Stevenson, which, as we talked, is about 15 miles, and by car, relatively quick, just up 72. And there were 4 separate regimental camps on either side of the Memphis and Charleston Railroad, adjacent to or within 1 block of this depot. 3,000 men were stationed here as part of that encampment to protect and keep things running here. And let's see, it kind of goes on. And in the early morning, in the spring of 1864, a number of different social events took place here. Kind of interesting. The first school and church, and they grew the town. And it's just kind of a whole list of things. But that many men were stationed in this area to protect and keep the Confederates from taking over, because this was considered such an important point. But as we read on the other side, they were outnumbered and outgunned and driven from the depot. So, as we travel around here on foot, it's kind of interesting. We always talk about how things were made previously. You can see how big that step is. And for fun, we're going to go ahead and go on up. Again, sorry, this is all as we do this. I'm going to take you all the way on up. Squeeze y'all in here. Y'all breathe in. I got to get you. Yeah, take me a moment here. I'm sorry. Going to have to squeeze y'all on up. There we go. Get you to fit up the steps. I'll quit bouncing you all around here in just a moment. There. There we go. End of travels, I promise. All right. Whew. We are now on the platform just like it was back then. As stated, this is one of the original three still here today. Now, there's a look. Towards Chattanooga, Scottsboro, and Bridgeport, all those places. And we're going to stay 1 hour in hopes that we can catch at least one more train before we begin our trip the rest of the way. And this is looking down the way to Huntsville. Would be the next major spot that you would arrive at. Very quiet here. So let's catch up with you guys on the chat. John, what can you add historically for us? Since the view is kind of cooler the other way, a whole lot less trash. Let's look out this way. There. Like I said, we are hoping to catch one more before we move on. Do have the scanner rolling. And like I said, we're just kind of ad-libbing this as we roll along. First time, first stop, first everything for me. There's a look over towards, I guess, town. Don't know too much about Scottsboro. Kind of a long, narrow town as I come driving in. I hear church bells. It is 6 o'clock here on March 21st of 2025. We've got a singing bird. Right? Right there's our little fella making all the noise. John, what can you tell us about this spot if you're still on with us? Anything that you can add? Anything newsy, noteworthy? Let's see how big the city of Scottsboro is. Well, I'll tell you what. You guys watch that, and since it's close by, John, I'll walk over. Since it's all boarded up, there's two buildings there. I'll see if either of them say anything. You guys watch the track, listen to the scanner, let me know if I miss anything. And I'll be right back. Well, I'm back from the trip and learned nothing. The building directly in front of us is boarded up. And on the other side, looks like maybe a plumbing company is working out of there. But you'll never guess what I found. It's fenced in on the other side of that building. And you'll never guess what I found there. Let's see if anybody's going to take a guess. There's a great big fat chicken, a rooster, on the other side in the fenced in area. And this building, as you can see, it's been partially coated in black, has no names, no anything on it whatsoever other than stay out. And as you can see, that is a beautifully done, massive metal steel sign there with entrance cut in it. So whatever it was at some point, see the old chimney up top? Starting to decay and fall away. And then, ironically, I'm going to guess that this trailer at one point must have been used by NS, but it's kind of funny. If you go on the other side, they've got all these locks, good security, deadbolt locks on the door. And then they've got this huge hasp that they put on with this massive lock. So those that decided one day they wanted in it, they just kicked the entire door in because it's the typical press board door, and the whole frame of the door is still there. All the locks are in place and locked, but they went on in and looks like it was well ransacked and just left the way it was, and the floor is rotting and what have you. Kind of an interesting look. I know it's bright. Kind of an interesting look. The sun just popped back out again. with the rail, the sun shining on the rails. And I feel a little warmth. And at this point, it looks like both our segments are open still. Green over red. If one of those goes to red over red, we'll know which way, what direction our next train's coming from. And like I said, we're going to stay here an hour. We're coming up on about 10 more minutes before we go on. Like I said, we're continuing our path through Alabama. And I just love doing this, going to the different depots and more of this plan. Just going live, hanging out with you guys, where it is currently March 21st. All that sun just went behind a huge cloud. On our way to the Railfan event to do down in Irondale tomorrow. For those of you that aren't aware of it, and I got to answer. One of you had a question that was texted to me. Hang on one second. Bear with me. Thank you. Like I said, everything that you see is happening live. And Brian, who is Train Nut 85, he has sent the information about tomorrow's event. And tomorrow being Saturday, March 22nd of 2025, starting at 11 a.m., is the Magic City Rail Watch 2025 public event that is sponsored by Aiden McClendon and 2 others. And it's there at the Irondale Train Watching Platform, which I saw a couple pictures from Brian, is a really, really nice viewing spot. They did it looks like a fantastic job from the pictures I saw. Jesse from Whistleboard Productions, he'll be there tomorrow. So I hope all, some, or most, or everybody can make it there tomorrow. That would be fun to hang out. As you guys watch the green over my shoulder, I watch the other end. Hopefully we can get one more squeezed in before we begin our travels on down. As you all see John's notes for here, not a super busy line. Does run at least 4 intermodals. For those of you that don't or aren't reading the chat, or if you watch this once the live ends, it will upload to YouTube. and then it will process and be a video in our collection, and it will be under the Trackside Lives. So our trip to Scottsboro will always be there for you guys to look at. And the modern part of town is over on Highway 72, which runs from South Pittsburgh off of 24 on down to Huntsville and on the old way to get there before we had all the nice interstates. Oh, that would have been cool, John, to ride an excursion down here. It's a shame that we don't get to do that anymore. Insurance and all the liabilities and everything. That would be so cool. I bet you it's just beautiful to ride through. Great memories. You can wear one of those 300 train hats. Yeah, and if anybody's, make sure you tell your friends to look out for our lives. Like I said, you never know what's next, where it's at, what we're going to see. It's like fishing. You know, there's fish down there. Just are they going to bite? And if they do, what are you going to pull up? John, how long ago was that excursion? Boy, I'm giving eye tooth to ride from Chattanooga to Memphis on this line. Oh, how cool. Maybe we can get somebody on NS to invite us on the office car special if it goes through here. We can sit in the back or look out the platform, out the movie theater car. Scanner's even gotten quiet. We're going to go ahead and set a time for 15 minutes from now. And if we don't have signal indication by then, we're going to go ahead and continue our trip on down to Birmingham, where we're going to meet up with Jesse and Brian tonight. If anybody's got any historical questions or anyone knows anything about the area or has information to add, please shout it out, type it out. Anybody has a question, ask away. I was going to look and see how big the town of Scottsboro is. Well, let's see. It says, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, the city has a total of 51.7 square miles. What is Scottsboro famous for? The scene of the famous Scottsboro case, a trial in which 9 African American youths were convicted of and then it skips the rest of the sentence or the rest of the story. But it goes on to say their persistence of innocence and the ensuing court proceedings that followed represented a major turning point in U.S. legal, political, and racial policies. That happened right here in Scottsboro. Now, just tell us. Population. Scottsboro is in Jackson County. And in this year's 2025, the population is estimated to be 16,053, and Scottsboro is the county seat. Says the average household income in Scottsboro is $75,000, with almost 20% of its residents under the poverty rate. So, there's a little input about Scottsboro. And we're going to give Norfolk Southern another 11 minutes before we move on our trip to Birmingham. It would be really fun to catch a Memphis-bound train. You saw on that last one how far we got to see, just straightaway track, how long it took for that train to make it. That was pretty cool. It looked like that pumpkin was never going to disappear into the horizon. I was going to try and take a look inside, but everything's all, blinds are all full. Surprising how quiet it is here, being just off the old part of town. It's kind of interesting that The crossing is just Lakes and Bell. No gates. And looking towards Memphis. Now the sun's gone in. That's our view towards Memphis. So we have two open segments of track. If we get a red over red on one of those two, we'll have a train coming from the backside. Right now, we have no train from any side. And for those of you who didn't know what John's talking about, unclaimed warehouse. If you lost your stuff with the airline and you never got reunited with it, you could come to Scottsboro and buy it back. Because the unclaimed belongings all come here to a great big building and everybody comes and buys your stuff. John, I hope you're right. Normally when we say it's time to end the live, we get horn or indication. If we do get indication, I will stay for it because this has got to be a really cool spot to catch a train, to see one. But he has 5 more minutes before I have to start our trip on to Birmingham. Ew, used toothbrushes. Yuck. Chuck. You and Joe gotta get out more. If anybody feels like doing that train dance to get us a train, for those of you just jumping on for the first time, never been with us before, please make sure you tell all your friends, relatives, neighbors, anyone that you like, and even those that you don't like, to join the channel. Every time someone subscribes, that helps, makes a difference for us, helps us know that y'all are having fun doing this. And like I said, since a lot of what I do is live production, we go wandering across the street, take pictures of this way, that way. I take you up the steps, have to fit you up here on the tripod where you won't fit through. This is the path that we came up right here. Here's the old, matter of fact, while we're here, let's just go ahead and back up a little bit for fun. I sent you down gently. Zoom you all the way out. I tried to look in, but looks like the blinds are pulled on all the windows. John, I don't think they have a Hilton here. If they do, I would be surprised. Mama Bear? There's your sunset. Man, isn't that pretty, you guys? Look at the sun on the rail. Wow. That's amazing, Chuck. I find it hard to believe that you drove all the way over here to find that out. Joe, you doing okay? Well, we are down to our last 60 seconds. Scanner is still completely quiet. Yes, isn't that beautiful, Mama Bear? Train signal lights, a mountain, an outline of trees, a beautiful backdrop, all lit by Mother Nature here in Scottsboro, Alabama. And from Casey and I, we do appreciate all of you being on with us and sharing the time. John filling in so many interesting details for us. Thank you so much for that. And as we've said before, John is a man of many hats, over 300 of them to be exact, each representing something different in the world of trains. Right, John? So, at this point, make sure y'all have plans to hang out with us tomorrow in Irondale at the yard on the viewing platform for the Rail Fan Get Together. And one last look that way. Mama Bear's sunset. And a long look down the track like it used to be back in the 1850s, 60s, and afterwards, where they can hear that steam locomotive roaring down from miles away, chugging and puffing. So, it's been a good time. It's even been a great time. From Casey and I, thank you for all of you participating, for all of you watching. Thank you. Y'all give yourselves a pat on the back. And we will see you at the next crossing in the morning from Irondale, Alabama on March 22nd of 2025. See you there.